Hey YouTube, I am here with part 6 of my Throughout the Year series, which is grade 4. And let's see, grade 4 was a pretty cool year. As I've mentioned before, I was in French immersion, and grade 1, 2, and 3, everything we did was in French, because it was just trying to get us to learn French. But we didn't just have like French class and then everything else was in English. We did everything in French. We had no English, except when we talked to each other, but none of our schooling was English. Well, grade 4 was the first year we had English class, and I remember, so exciting. We had French in the morning, and then we had from after lunch till afternoon recess was English. So it was like maybe a little over an hour was English class, and we were still in our same class, and we had a different teacher come in to teach us English, and it was so exciting that we were like, we have to learn English. And I remember reading a lot of books and doing like book reports, and then we did a lot of like spelling and grammar kind of stuff, but it was just like all of our other subjects like math, science, social studies, like everything else we did was still in French. Our English period was just like learning English, because my English was not good before that, because everything I did was in French. I hadn't actually learned, other than like what my parents would be like, Shauna, don't say that, doesn't make any sense, or like whatever. I didn't actually learn anything in English. Everything I'd learned was in French, so I didn't really know how to speak English that well. Until grade 4, we learned how to speak English. That was also the year that I first started reading Harry Potter. And I remember, it was for my 10th birthday, I turned 10 in grade 4. And I remember for my birthday, my dad bought me Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And I remember that it wasn't just a gift from my parents, it was from my dad. Because every year, all of my birthday gifts and my Christmas gifts and everything, my mom picked them out. And like they were from both of my parents, but my mom was always going to pick them out. Even now, my parents have been divorced for like 11 years, and my mom still tells my dad what to buy me for Christmas and my birthday. Anyway, but I remember that year, for my 10th birthday, my dad had, I don't know where he had been that he picked out this book, but he was like, I found this book and I think you should read it. And I was like, okay. Anyway, and I remember trying to read Harry Potter, and I don't know if you guys have read Philosopher's Stone, but the first chapter, when Harry's still a baby, right after Voldemort is like, disappears, it's a really boring chapter. If you don't really know where it's going, it's kind of boring. So it took me a really long time to get into the book. Anyway, I ended up getting really liking it, and then my mom bought me Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban. I feel like it took me months to read the first one, but I know it didn't, because we went to Portugal again that year. It was the last time we went to Portugal, that April, and I know I took Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban with me to Portugal. Speaking of, yes, that year, grade 4 was the last time we went to Portugal. At that point, like in grade 4, missing 3 weeks of school was a really big deal. So my teachers gave me like a little bit of work to do while I was gone, but they were like, what they wanted me to do was like do a project, like presentation about Portugal that I could like present to the whole class when I got back. So I remember like talking to people that we knew there and like doing research, and I had my mom helped me a lot with this, but like the history of Portugal and like significant events, and I brought in like Portuguese money. This was before the euro. Portuguese money to compare it to like Canadian money, and I remember doing this like chart. I had a big Bristol board for my presentation. I remember doing this chart, and it was like Portuguese words, what they mean in French and what they mean in English, and I had it covered up so that you could just see like the Portuguese word, and I had to try to get people to like guess what they meant. So yeah, that was my big project for while I was in Portugal. And I remember my mom came in with me to do the presentation, just because she like brought the Bristol board, and she brought like the Portuguese money and whatever. And I remember I had the game set up, so I was like, this is the Portuguese word, like guess what it means. People guessed it in French, and then my mom was like, and this is what it means in English. And I was like, no, because that was the other part of the game. What else happened when I was in grade 4? Those are the only things I remember. I started reading Harry Potter, I got to have English class, and I went to Portugal. Those are the only things I remember. I have a bad memory. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.